As adult action figure fans slash collectors slash obsessive compulsive is, well, one of the things that's really important to us is accessories. And usually when you're talking about action figure accessories, you're talking about them being too big. But in the case of some figures, the opposite problem is true, where the accessories, instead of being oversized with a projectile for kids that collectors can disregard, the accessories can be too small. Okay, yeah, I get the whole thing that, what does size matter? But come on. Sometimes when something is really small, even if it looks like it's going to be big and you're not going to lose it, well, once you put it in an action figure's hands, or, gosh forbid, you have to travel with that figure or move it, well, small accessories can then look really small. Don't get me wrong. Small toys are a huge trend. They've been a trend for years. Everything from marbles all the way up to modern collectible items, from Legos to Shopkins, and even one of the most popular brands right now is called mini brands, which is literally small recreations of household products, mostly food or house goods, all done out of cardboard and plastic. Fun to collect, very small, that's the whole draw. But with action figures, when you're dealing with something that's an accessory that's supposed to go in their hand, there can be a limit to how small you can get. Well, physically, you could get as small as I guess you need to, but some lines, and in particular, I'm calling out G.I. Joe Pursuit of Cobra, because that line was notorious for tiny accessories. Granted, they were all appropriate for the characters, but the deeper you sort of dug into this line, accessories started getting smaller and smaller, to the point that some of the snipers actually came with individual bullets that they were supposed to hold, or pieces of I guess in this case, sort of gun perches, if you will, that would come apart into multiple pieces, or ammo clips that would pop off of the gun. To me, one of the worst offenders is when you have a 3 3/4 figure with removable glasses, like Baroness here. Another brand that did this was also Hasbro. Not that I'm picking on Hasbro. Was their Indiana Jones line. Lots of accessories, and of course, some of them have to be small, like the medallion, the amulet, the grail, the diary. But again, Henry Jones Sr., removable glasses and helmet. And how long do you think it's taken for me to lose those glasses on both of the figures I have of this? Yes, I have two, and the glasses are gone from both of them. Just simply, they don't stay on his face, and they fall off. And you lose them. And it makes having a great action figure that's bringing you joy suddenly is doing the opposite, because it's no longer complete. By far, at least in my personal collection, the biggest offender to this was the Scanning Crew sets that were part of the Star Wars, customized program for Kmart. Remember the Scanning Crew members? They were the guys from A New Hope, the 1977 film, these guys with the big tubs. And they went on the Falcon trying to see if there were any life forms. They were released as a carded figure, and the idea was to actually do a head swap to do both of them and do the other side of the little box, the Scanning Crew. Unfortunately, that never happened, and instead they were reshuffled and offered to Kmart as an exclusive program that complemented the vintage line, because they're articulated like that, even though they don't have vintage line branding. There were two different sets. The first came with a Scanning Crew member and an Imperial officer, and besides coming with their token blasters, came with half of the Scanning Crew box. Scanning Crew box is great, big accessory. Well, the other set, the other Scanning Crew member, new head, and a Stormtrooper, and the other half of the box. Again, we're great. We can now recreate this awesome scene of the two Scanning Crew guys approaching the Falcon surrounded by Stormtroopers. Everyone loves setting up dioramas, and accessories help make them authentic. Now, this trooper in specifically is TK-421. The only Stormtrooper ever named on screen in the original trilogy. Remember, Luke hits his helmet, and the officer says, Trooper TK-421, why aren't you answering me? That's not what he says. It's something like that. I'm butchering the line. I know, I should be kicked out of nerd school. All right, so TK-421 and the Scanning Crew Trooper come with a ton of stuff, tons of articulation, tons of, cool accessories, and they come with a very tiny accessory. An accessory that is so small, it is just literally destined to get lost. I'm talking about that little white speck in the middle. That is a comlink. Remember Luke uses the comlink when he dresses up like a stormtrooper? Well, since he takes this stormtrooper's armor, this trooper comes with the comlink. It fits into his belt. But man, the moment I got this, and I remember reading a review, then the review of the figure said, in an accessory which you're destined to lose. And yeah, There is nothing worse than losing an accessory, especially for an older figure that you can't easily replace, because the figure's no longer in mint condition. It no longer has all of its parts. It's now missing things, and that is like this beacon for an adult collector that says, wrong, wrong. Now, I recently made a cross-country move from Los Angeles to North Carolina, and the movers were great. They did a fantastic job. Unfortunately, a good chunk of my toy collection, specifically my Star Wars toys, weren't packed up to my specifications. And part of that's on me, and part of it was the timing of everything happening so quickly as we were fleeing California from the Martians that were trying to capture us. But yeah, when my figures arrived, I mean, it wasn't like this with a Amazon Prime box being all messed up. I just thought this would be a good visual. But yeah, the figures were basically wrapped in clear plastic. They weren't placed inside of a brown box, which is what I wanted. So when they showed up, yes, it was a mess, and I had to sort of re-accessorize every figure in my collection. Losing things is not fun.
And now I've lost it. Haven't you ever lost anything, Dr. Bronx? You pass your car keys? Well, it's rather like that. Now you have it, now you don't.
So, is there actually a solution to this? I mean, other than when you get an action figure that has a tiny accessory, you immediately put that figure, in a Ziploc bag or an acrylic case or freeze it in carbonite or, put it on a shelf that's never going to get touched? Well, there's been a few lines that have had creative solutions to this. One in particular is the Toy Biz Lord of the Rings line. Despite the fact that there's some controversy about their tooling, well, they've done some great figures like Sauron, the main bad. That is Sauron. That's not the one I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, I mean, they did this giant flaming eye that was a non-articulated, top of a castle. This is one of the weirdest action figures. I mean, I think it goes right up there with the rocky chunk of meat. But yeah, I guess, for those who need a Sauron in their collection, this tower worked. But if you didn't want that, you could get the full version from the opening scene of Fellowship when we see him in the Second Age. Sauron, that is. And, of course, Sauron has to come with his giant mace. And, well, what's the other accessory, besides the voice chip? Well, Sauron has to obviously come with his power source. And everyone knows Sauron gets his power from clean fuel and one rings. Well, okay, just one ring. And the ring actually goes on his finger. In fact, his finger can come off to recreate Elendil, right? He cut off the Isildur. Oh, God, I'm totally screwing up my lore at this point. The point is, the toy came with multiple rings, because they knew you were going to lose one. It actually came with 3, the one ring. This is only 2, I know. I couldn't find a shot of it. I really tried on Google, and I don't own the figure. But yeah, he came with 3 small die-cast rings in case you lose one of them, otherwise the play value is gone. Now, an action figure that's holding something small in its hand can be solved sort of like this, by making the object part of their hand. Lord of the Rings figure gave multiple rings. Well, some other lines have had other creative solutions. If you look at the way Marvel Legends has evolved, when it was with Toy Biz, a lot of the figures had articulated hands. Even the thumbs sometimes were on their own joint. Well, in modern Marvel Legends from Hasbro, the jointed hands have been replaced by swappable hands. So if you want fists, you plug in the fist. Well, one thing that was a solution that when I was at Mattel with the Justice League line that I think could get applied to Marvel Legends and other brands that do swappable hands is to make the accessories part of the sculpt. Now, you might be like, wait, what are you talking about? Why would you sculpt, like a giant accessory in someone's hand? Well, I'm not talking about a giant accessory. A great example is Angleman. When we did Angleman, Bill Beneke, who is a huge DC fan, and I was blessed to have him as my designer on the JLU line, or not my designer, but my partner designing the toys. And when he did Angleman, because we couldn't afford to give him an accessory, he sculpted the angler in his actual hand. So he's holding it permanently. And I thought this was a great solution because it's one of those things you're going to lose really quickly. And with the whole multiple hand thing, this has been done actually a few times. I wasn't at Mattel for the Jurassic Park Amber collection, but this is on shelf now. Here's your Dr. Alan Grant. And you'll notice he comes like Hulk with multiple hands and multiple heads and removable glasses. And we'll actually get into that. But One of his hands, you'll notice, is holding something really small, the one kind of in the bottom middle, and that's the raptor claw that Alan Grant uses to scare the hell out of that kid and probably cause him traumatic pain for the rest of his life. But if you want Alan Grant to hold it, it's stuck to his hand. Accessories can make or break an action figure or an action figure set. Giving a character the right accessories, even if it's only one or if it's a ton of accessories, like, well, this Swedish chef set was probably one of the records, it makes a figure so much better because we can customize it. But when you have small parts, like glasses here on Jubilee, or even Alan Grant had those, going back to that Baroness figure and the Henry Jones Sr., well, glasses fall off faces all the time, both in the real world and especially on your shelf. If a figure tumbles onto the floor, and if you have carpet, those glasses are probably going to get eaten up by the carpet monster when it comes alive. And we all know carpet monsters always come alive when you're not watching. The new Jubilee for Marvel Legends coming out has multiple heads, and one head has the glasses sculpted on the head permanently. So that's kind of the rules I tend to make when I'm working on lines, is if an item is about the size of scissors or a pencil, or if it's glasses, give the character a unique head. If the character is going to hold a comlink in their hand, instead of sculpting the comlink as this tiny piece of plastic that you are destined to lose, sculpt the comlink, in this case, actually in the character's hand. Hasbro has been doing this with Star Wars for a long time. The very first long snoot figure from Power of the Force 2 had the comlink right there, permanently in his hand, as opposed to that later figure, the TK421. And if collectors and toy companies can kind of all come together and see this as the best way to avoid losing accessories, I think it can be a happier world for all of us. I hope you enjoyed this video and it clarified a little bit some of the issues with small accessories and what some of the solutions are. What are your solutions? What do you do about small figures and small accessories for your figures? Do you have to rebuy them if you lose them? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, share this video, and I'll see you guys next time.